What up everybody, man, back. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Minus One news and updates. Alright, this one's a little interesting. We're getting a little interesting on this one. Starting out with some Minus One art. We've got some art from the community that I wanted to show off. Our first one comes to us from Barbana's8 on Twitter. This is her Godzilla Minus One brush pen. I just thought this one was really cute, really simple. I liked it. I liked how to the point it was. I love the G-1 being written by his side. It gave me good vibes, so I wanted to show it off. Next one came from Josh Pre16. This is Godzilla In History. I think this one's pretty neat. It's like a Photoshop. He's Photoshopped Godzilla Minus One into like a historical painting. It's pretty cool. The reason I chose to show this one off in particular is because not only is the painting really just a nice composition, good job with the reflection down there. That was a good detail, hard to catch. But I really liked to frame Godzilla next to this ship, this old-timey ship. That will be relevant towards the end of the video, this old-timey ship. Maka Godzilla 3 on Twitter has a couple of art pieces we'll show off, starting out with the Minus One Wide Roar art piece. Look at the mouth on this guy. This continues the Japanese tradition of giving Godzilla really wide roars recently. Godzilla's had some really wide mouths as of late. It does show that if they wanted to in the film, they could really stretch that face out. The next one does another job of showing that this is his angry roaring Godzilla. I actually like this one a little better than the last one. It just shows that you can exaggerate the Minus One face in a way that doesn't really break the design. This is Sakurai's Godzilla jumping out of the canvas. This one's great. I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun just having him pop out of the canvas there. Good details. I like the rumpy bumpy chest, and I like the way he's worked these kind of purplish orangish colors throughout. This is Aoki Minato's Godzilla. This is him kind of looming in the distance. The thing that I really liked about it is the way you've got these cross wires going over from street pole to street pole, creating this kind of checkerboard pattern over Godzilla. The thing that sticks out to me so much is that this is similar to one of my favorite shot compositions in the original 1954 Godzilla, because we're going back to a 1940s Japan. Historically, there would be these kind of cross-railed telephone wires or electrical wires going above, and I really like that. I hope we get to see more frames like this in the new movie, and it also calls back to the Always Sunset scene, which also had similar framing, also directed by Takashi Yamazaki. This is Asahi 526's Dream Monster universe. This artwork is of course calling back to the very famous Shin Japan Heroes universe. This one features Godzilla Minus One with the blue glowing dorsal spines and purple eyes. Holy crap, that's so cool. I really like that. That's very, very cool. The purple eyes on Godzilla is one of the coolest things I've seen, and I like giving him the glowing blue spines. I'm just ready to see this guy's atomic breath in action. We've also got Gappa. Oh my gosh, what an obscure monster, but even more obscure, arguably, is the X from outer space. Looking great. Both of these monsters looking fantastic, and then there he is at the bottom, the underdog of the century, Gamera. Back in action, baby. This is just such fantastic artwork. The whole thing is great. I could talk and talk and talk about it, but I'll keep it moving. Good Guy did some Godzilla Minus One crossover images with the 1954 film. He's previously photoshopped Godzilla into that film already, into the Capitol building, but here's Godzilla standing with all the tanks pointed at him. This is a promotional photo from the 54 film. You've got Godzilla coming over the hill, like his iconic 1954 entrance, and this just goes to show how much scarier the Minus One design was than that design. He looks frightening here. Then you've got this Godzilla standing by the bridge, the 1954 bridge. This is wonderful. I hope we get to see stuff like this in the new movie. I hope there's at least a few callbacks to the original film in this new movie. That would be wonderful. I may have discovered a new Minus One trailer detail. So in the teaser trailer, there's that scene of all the chaos and everybody running through the streets, and in the background there's a sign. Now, I'm not totally sure if I have translated this correctly, but as I've mentioned, I'm trying to learn how to read Japanese. Now, I might be mistaken, but I believe the sign in the background of this crowded shot says, Vu irunai. I think that's what it says, which would translate to can't work, which makes sense given that this is immediately post-war, and aside from like reconstructing Japan, there would be a lot of people who are now maybe out of jobs given what has happened and given that the country needs to rebuild. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. It kind of ties into the history of it, even if I've mistranslated it. It's an interesting history. Speaking of Minus One trailer details and speculation, Chokomint speculates on the Minus One trailer. This is someone from Japan wondering if we will see in this new movie black markets, veterans, and General MacArthur. Consider Considering all of these things would be present historically in Japan at the time this movie's set, he's wondering how much real-world history will be brought into this film. I hope we do see a lot of that stuff in this new movie. I think it's very interesting when you go period and you go accurate. Otherwise, you kind of defeat the purpose of going period. Alright, we get a cool new angle of the -1 statue. This one comes to us from Namco. I don't really have much to say about it other than that I liked the angle of it. Speaking of things that I just liked the angles of, Toho celebrated the Godzilla Niputa float. This was the glowing Godzilla. They posted an official video of it being pulled down the street. It's just wonderful to see the thing in action. I love hearing the drums go off. It's a lot of fun. I really like that they did this. I love that they made the float. I think it looks fantastic. I love the way it glows, and it's just super cool to see. Glad Toho celebrated it too. Beef Koso God enjoyed the festival, posting pictures of giant fish floats. What appears to be an angry samurai, posted a couple pictures of that angry samurai, and then Godzilla being pulled down the street. He wasn't the only one, as Matarime shared some pictures of the Godzilla float as well. So we've got a picture of it head on, we've got kind of a side view of it, and then we've got a picture of its back. Love the glow. I love how it glows. I think it looked wonderful. Mermaid Tavern 11 captured a picture of the Godzilla float. This one's a little brighter than the others, but it gives a new aesthetic to the float, which I like. I wasn't the only one who noticed the Burning Godzilla parallels with this Godzilla float. Hobitaron01 noticed the Burning Godzilla parallels as well, calling it out on Twitter that this looks just like Burning Godzilla from the 90s. Kenny, another Japanese Twitter user, then followed this up by dubbing this state of Godzilla the Golden Godzilla, which I just think is such a freaking cool title. It also reminds me of the good old Planet Eater days when we were expecting to see Golden Godzilla Earth, only for the budget to not allow it. But Golden Godzilla is a super cool name for this float. I think it'd be cool to see him go full orange glowing mode when he charges up his beam in this movie. But maybe he won't. Maybe he'll go blue like normal. Yamazaki's a traditionalist, so he very well could. The next Takashi Yamazaki exhibition will be held in Matsumoto City, Nagano. There you could see a Godzilla -1 statue, some chrome Godzilla -1 stuff. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Maybe it means the little holo displays they've released of Godzilla -1. Those guys, those acrylic stands. I'm not sure. I couldn't quite tell from the tweet because it was translated weird, but it also seemed like Godzilla -1 may appear at Okoye City Hideaki Anno exhibit. This has the Shin Japan heroes statues, and it sounds like Godzilla -1 might show up there for a brief appearance in November. There's also going to be a history of Godzilla special effects exhibition coming to that area in 7/12/24, so next year in July. Chunichi celebrates Godzilla's 70th anniversary. This is a Japanese news outlet. They say that -1 was made to celebrate the 70th anniversary and is just releasing a little bit ahead of time in order to capture the wave of 2024 head on. They celebrate that this will be the 30th live-action Japanese Godzilla film and the first proper entry of the Reiwa era. Because technically Shin Godzilla came out before, and they don't count the American films. So technically speaking, this will be the first film of the Reiwa era, even though Shin Godzilla, the anime films, and Singular Point are technically considered part of it, the same way that Godzilla 84 is considered part of the Heisei era. The official list of Godzilla films here does not include any American films nor any animated films, and that's actually the case for a lot of the posts Toho makes. They don't consider any of those films in them. The Yomiuri Giants and Godzilla -1 have a collaboration project that was announced. The Yomiuri Giants are a baseball team, so the new Godzilla x Yomiuri Giants baseball collaboration is announced for Sunday, October 1st. This will be at the Tokyo Yakulta Swallows game. Various events are planned, including some special videos. Now, a lot of people think that this might be a trailer. I do have some more news about this coming up in the next few -1 updates, but I'm not personally expecting a full trailer, although I do think we will see some new footage revealed. That's going to be my guess, is that we'll get a teaser video that'll show some more footage to bite into. So keep your eyes open for Sunday, October 1st. Although at the same time, that's getting pretty close to the movie. That's just barely over a month away from the film, so that very well could be a trailer. And I'm expecting a trailer to drop in September at some point. So I don't know. Could happen any day now. Who knows? It should be interesting. All right, now getting into the interesting rumored reports here. We might have an answer on who Godzilla will be fighting in Godzilla -1. We might have his next enemy unofficially revealed here. Take all of this with the biggest grain of salt ever. Kaiju number 14 reports on Twitter about Yamazaki's Wonderfest rumors. So rumors started circulating following Wonderfest 2023. These rumors state that director Takashi Yamazaki reportedly told people that Godzilla's enemy in this film will be the United States military, and the Nagato. Kind of exactly what many of us thought. Godzilla versus the military. Now again, take it with a grain of salt because this does conflict with previous reports we've talked about in previous videos where, according to some reports, foreign extras were turned down for this movie, and instead they were going towards a Japanese defense force in this movie. So who knows? I don't know. If that report's stating that foreign extras were turned down, but this one's stating that the American military will be the enemy, I don't know what to believe. But let's follow this down the line of thinking for a second. The United States military makes sense because historically the United States would be occupying Japan at the time this film is set. Their military would be the military defending Japan at this period, so when Godzilla shows up, the United States would show up to combat him. The Nagato is also a very historical landmark in Japanese military history, so it makes sense that would appear here as well. Apparently Yamazaki asked everybody to keep quiet about this, by the way, but clearly somebody didn't. Yamazaki wanted to keep quiet about it so that he didn't get in trouble with Toho, but Kaiju number 14 reported on it, so I'm just covering that. Sorry, Mr. Yamazaki. I hope that if these rumors are true, you're fine, or maybe I hope that they're not true so that you are okay. If you're wondering what the Nagato is, well, it's a super dreadnought battleship built for the Imperial Japanese Navy in 1920. It was the leading ship of her class. She was involved with supporting Japan post the Great Kanto earthquake and was eventually upgraded by the time World War II rolled around. She was the flagship of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto during the attack on Pearl Harbor and provided cover for the attacking ships while not being part of the initial conflict itself, so it wasn't actually there. She started to see proper combat in 1943 and went on to be converted into a floating anti-aircraft platform by 1945. She actually went on to survive multiple encounters with the United States and went on to become the only surviving battleship to come out of Japan in World War II. So she was the unsinkable beast. She was confiscated by the United States post-war and went on to be used for nuclear testing. In mid-1946, she was part of Operation Crossroads, where she survived her first nuclear detonation only to be sunken by her second. So she's truly a beast. And if Godzilla's going up against her in this new movie, I have a feeling Yamazaki's love for both ships, which I know he loves because he makes movies about them and does miniatures of them and they're all over his museum displays, and his love for great action is gonna lead me to believe that this battleship would put up one hell of a fight. I would love to see Godzilla fight some battleships, by the way. Godzilla doesn't really fight battleships often. The only ones I can think of is Godzilla versus Biollante. He does a little bit of battleship blowing up, and then you jump forward to, I think, Godzilla versus Mothra, where he fights some battleships as well, but I can't really remember any great sea combat sequences. But you know that art that was released by, I believe, KSP, where it like photoshopped Godzilla heritage into historical battles? Well, that was such an awesome art piece, and I would love to see a Godzilla attacking a ship in that way. This Godzilla attacking a historical ship, but not in the way where he just blasts it with his atomic breath and it's over, but where he actually gets into kind of a fist-to-fist fight with it. I think it would be really neat, and it would give us a new set piece that is different from things we've seen. Godzilla vs. Kong, he technically fights some battleships in that he rams himself through them and they go down right away. Now that's great too. It creates a really powerful presence for Godzilla, but it's not as fun as if he fights the thing. And I would love to see him fight the thing in this new movie. That'd be great. By the way, Operation Crossroads might be important here because if this rumor is true, they may have picked this ship for a reason. Operation Crossroads were the first nuclear tests since Trinity, the original nuclear bomb. These happened at Bikini Atoll in mid-1946. They were the first atomic bombs detonated since Nagasaki, tying them directly back into Japan. These 23 kiloton yield Fat Man type bombs resemble the one dropped on Nagasaki. The first nuclear test, Able, was detonated in the air and actually missed its target, resulting in less than desired damages. That's why the Nagato survived. She was lucky. The second test, Baker, was detonated 90 feet underwater, making it the first underwater nuclear explosion and the first nuclear test detonated inside and under the ocean. This is the footage that many of us have seen. It's been used in many Godzilla films before. It could very well be that Godzilla was created in this movie by this bomb. This bomb becomes his new Castle Bravo, the first bomb tests post-World War II. Or it could be an interesting twist where the atomic bomb story comes out as a cover-up for Godzilla's new emergence. Like, what if in this situation, Godzilla attacks the battleships here at sea when they're setting up some sort of military test or something in the ocean? Godzilla just shows up and attacks. Maybe the Nagato survives the first attack by Godzilla, but then he makes a second pass. Gets at that time maybe unleashing his atomic breath underwater, creating the explosion we're familiar with. I don't know. That's a wild idea. I don't actually think that's going to happen. I think more than likely what could happen is they're just using the Nagato. It doesn't get blown up in these nuclear tests, and then Godzilla winds up being the one created or rebirthed in this test. I don't know. Maybe it's not true at all. I don't know. It's just kind of a historical fact that is significant alongside the ship that supposedly Yamazaki name dropped as being something that is going to have some importance in this new movie, and Godzilla is going to fight. I don't know how strong this Godzilla is going to be. He could be a GVK Godzilla where he just slices and dices through ships. He could be a Heisei Godzilla where he just stands there and obliterates them with his breath. Or maybe they're going to make him a little weaker so that he can go actually fight and get into a little bit more creative and interesting battles with things like military ships. I don't know. The weaker your Godzilla in a way, the more interesting he becomes, because the more creative he has to be in order to survive. Just remember it that way. Don't think of it in the 98 way. Don't think about that. Think about the creative challenges this poses for us and the things that we could see in this movie that would be awesome. Think about it that way. That's where I'll leave it for this one, guys. Well, I personally don't believe those rumors. I'm totally open to them being true, and I hope they are, because they could be awesome. What do you guys think about all this? Please let me know down below. I'd like to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. I really appreciate the support I get on the Patreon. It goes such a long way towards making sure I can keep making videos like this for you guys. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.